So today we will discuss about reporting a survey and an interview. Before that, do you know the definition of survey and an interview? Okay, let's talk about the definition of survey and interview. So first, survey. Survey is to ask many people a question or a series of questions in order to gather information about what most people do or think about something. This is by Merriam-Webster. And the second is interview, a formal meeting in which one or more person question, consult, or evaluate another person, or meeting or conversation in which a writer or reporter asks questions of one or more person from whom material is sought for a newspaper story, television, broadcast, and etc. And the next we will discuss about the purpose of survey and interview. Okay, so the main purpose of survey is to provide someone with information. Like social survey offers scope for collection of primary data relating to social problems through interview, schedule, and questionnaire and checklist. And the next is interview. So the purpose of interview is to get to know about something or information. If this is a job interview, it can be consideration if you are fit for the job or not. Okay, let's discuss about survey report and interview report. First, the definition of survey report is a document which presents the important information for the response that have been collected. And then for interview report, the definition is a document which shows the detailed information and the outline about the interview. And the purpose of survey report is to present a summary of all responses that have been collected from the survey. And the purpose of interview report is to present the information from the interview so it can be used for public or private use. And the next we will talk about how to present an academic report based on survey and interview. So this is the key points how to present an academic report. First, explain the purpose or aim of the research. Then explain why the survey and the interview was necessary and place the study in the context. And then describe in detail how the survey and the interview was done. And the next is state the chosen method of survey and interview and explain why this method was chosen. And the next is describe the tool that used in the survey and the interview. And the next is present the result of the research. The result section should be clear, factual, and concise. And the next is interpret and discuss the finding. And the last is present the conclusion and recommendation. So in this slide, we will discuss about the checklist for academic report writing. The first is stay on text. And the second is address the question set. Then discuss the chosen organization structure. And the next is relate the structure to the organization goals. And the next is discuss its culture. And the next is relate the culture to the organization goals and structures. And the last is discuss any other business function and how they can be improved.
What I'm going to talk about application in general. It is not about particularly to public health because I'm not expert in that area. Okay, my background actually is education, so not really have intersection with health sciences, right? So this is my name and my email and the working place, okay, working at the Fakultas Pendidikan Universitas Malaya right now. So I already working here more than 5 years, okay. So if you want to ask something, if you want to have some question, please free to email me. I'm really happy it can answer what we call as your question. Right, so it's a bit background, I think already mentioned by moderator. I trained as a teacher, right? So I'm working there in Lombok as a chemistry teacher for 7 years, and then I got the postgraduate study in Australia for 2 years, and then in New Zealand for another 3 years, right? When completed the Ph.D. degree, I'm trying to become a lecturer like Bu Adijah. Okay, try to apply here and there, but got rejected and only accepted in Malaysia. So I'm TKI now, right? So working like as a TKI for right now is more than 10 years, right? As a lecturer here in Malaysia, the challenge is a bit different. So we have to publish regularly in the top journal. At the same time, I have to use a different approach in terms of analysis. To be honest, my postgraduate background, master or PhD, are in qualitative approach. I'm not touching number at all, right? So it is most likely about text, context, thematic analysis, content analysis, that kind of thing, right? But when I become a lecturer in Malaysia, so students come and ask my help to explain regarding quantitative analysis, so I have to change a bit about the focus. Okay, so Indonesian said that's tersesat di jalan yang benar. Okay, so I get lost in terms of quantitative, but actually that become the identity right now, right? So publish some articles, some journal recruit me as reviewer, and at the end they also recruit me as the editorial board member, right? So the first one already finished last year at School Leadership and Management. This is my expertise. And the second one is about educational assessment, evaluation, and accountability. It's a top Scopus journal and also WOS. Okay, starting from 2018 for now, right? So it's a bit experience that I can share with you. Okay, so why RAS model? Okay, so when we talk about RAS model, we talk about the approach that originally come from Europe, okay, in 1960, developed by the person named George RAS, okay, is from Denmark. So George RAS introduced a model, a mathematical formula, how we can analyze the ability of the student and the difficulty of the item. That's the basic idea, right? After that, many what we call protests or followers of George RAS come directly and bring the knowledge to the English-speaking countries, which is United States. Okay, so there where is the key that RAS become popular. Okay, so if we look at this article, it published last year, right? Or sorry, 2 years ago. So this article tried to map out the development of RAS model as a branch of data analysis. And if you can read this one, it is accessible. Okay, you can go to Frontiers in Psychology. It is open access journal, so you can get it for free. Okay, no paywall. These articles told us that RAS is not only about measuring for testing. RAS is used with the other discipline, health sciences, right? English, what we call language testing, okay? In terms of psychology, testing instrument. When you can read it, you just realize that there's so many potential in terms of research and publication if we try to use this approach, okay? Because the basic thing about this approach, they try to provide what we call as accurate and precise measurement, right? So that's the basic thing, okay? So this is the three books that very popular you try to understand the RAS model. Okay, so all written in English, of course, and then the right hand one is the most popular one because highly cited in any human sciences. Okay, if you can see these three titles, they are not really emphasized on one particular field. Okay, so for example, Engelhardt book is telling about social, behavioral, and health sciences. So it covers more than one field. The second one is just mentioning human sciences. Every kind of field that involve human can use RAS model. Okay, then the third one is also the most popular one. It's only emphasized in human sciences. So this is a good indication. Whatever your field, if it is involved human, you can use RAS. Okay, that include public health, okay, social medicine. So no problem regarding that, right? So the development of RAS is very fast and it is very interesting, right? So RAS become the standard in terms of language testing. Okay, when you are part of the language testing company, for example, like ETS, who produce like TOEFL tests, or Cambridge examination, who produce like IELTS, okay? Behind that, what we call the secret of testing and developing the item, they are using RAS model. Okay, why? Because they provide accurate and precise measurement, right? In health sciences, one book already available and give us a very good, solid information that this is already become standard in social medicine. It is not about clinical medicine. This is a social medicine that include like public health. Okay, so there is no question right now. If you want to improve the quality of your research that involve human, so RAS model is one of the answer that you can use, right? So this is an example, the article that I'm involved in that published in the top journal. For example, like this one, I'm helping a doctor in University Malaya, Dr. Lee. Okay, so Dr. Lee has what we call testing the instrument in terms that patients who are recover from heart surgery, right? So in order to know that the instrument are really work very well, so need to be tested using RAS, okay? The second one just officially published this year, Dr. Denny from Universitas Pajajaran. So Dr. Denny is already here in the Zoom meeting. Okay, so he invited me to be part of his research in terms of developing cookies that come from Ilmu, okay, created for particularly for pregnant women with chronic energy deficiency. Okay, so creating cookies is one thing, but testing cookies is a different thing. So you need accurate and precise measurement in order that you can decide which cookies that really what we call liked by the pregnant woman, right? So these studies telling us that in health sciences, based on my own experience, okay, so it works very well. It is accepted by the scientific community, and this one, of course, in Malaysian context, and this one is Indonesian context. Okay, so if you search Dr. Denny Sunjaya publication, you can see there's another publication is also using RAS in terms of data analysis in terms of public health. So based on my experience, one department that very aggressive in terms of using RAS in public health is Universitas Pajajaran. Okay, you can ask Dr. Denny for that one. Okay, so what actually RAS play a part is we have to look at what we call the empirical research in terms of what kind of data that we want to analyze. Okay, so I'm looking at the social side. Okay, I'm not talking about scientific science or engineering because that's a different game. Okay, there's different scientific fields, so it leads to different a way to analyze this. Okay, so if we look at the empirical research, the type of data is make it divided into two things. Okay, the first one we call it as quantitative method or quantitative approach or quantitative paradigm. In quantitative method, the data that we have and we analyze is numbers. Okay, this is result of measurement because we use the instrument, right? Another way in terms of doing research is when the data that we collect in terms of words based on watching, asking, examining, right? So that's the different part. Okay, so we are not talking about the second type of research, which is qualitative. We are talking about the first one, about quantitative approach, right? So we are dealing with numbers. Okay, so when we try to measure something from human, right? So for example, there's a child in the pictures on the right-hand side. So in that picture, we know that humans have a physical properties. Okay, their age, their weight, the volume, temperature, etc. Right? So there's so many physical aspects of a human being, right? But RAS are not dealing with that. The physical aspect, we let the physics to measure them. So for example, we're measuring like a ruler with centimeter scale. We are using scale in terms of kilogram to find the weight of the person. We use temperature to know about we use the thermometer to use to know the temperature for the person. So it's very popular right now because of the pandemic. Okay, and so many things, right? At the other side, we have what we call non-physical aspect, which is something latent, something unobservable, hidden, right? So humans have non-physical aspect or latent aspect or hidden aspect. There are two things, which is cognitive ability, like intelligence. Okay, so it's very big discussion in group WhatsApp today, starting last night, I think, regarding the IQ score, mean IQ score of Indonesian. So many people are talking about that. I hope that in your WhatsApp group, there one talking about that one. Okay, so the intelligence is, we call it as a cognitive ability. It is not visible. We cannot decide somebody a smart or slow learner based on observation. It is not good. It is biased, subjective, if we rely on observation. We have to test them. We have to give them IQ tests, right? So that's the cognitive ability. The second one is non-cognitive ability, which is talking about the attitude, measuring attitude, opinion, and perception. Okay, so the second part of non-physical, this is mostly what we deal in many health sciences, social medicine, and public health research, right? So because for the cognitive ability, most likely relate to the psychological and education context, right? So this is the thing that what we understand. When we want to measure human, there are two aspects that we can measure. Physical aspect, we rely on physics, and non-physical aspect, latent. Okay, what RAS to offer is measuring that latent aspect. Right, so this is one of the simple item or simple question or statement that measuring about non-physical or latent aspect. We are talking about consumer satisfaction, right? So consumer satisfaction, so those who use the service, in this case is airport toilet, okay? They can judge about the quality of that service with these 5 choices. Okay, so on the left is worst condition, going to the right is the best condition. So we as a customer or someone or people who use the service can rate the quality of the service, right? So this is a typical when we are talking about non-physical measurement. Okay, because customer satisfaction, it is not visible. Okay, we need tools that directly asking that. Okay, it is different with what we call about measuring age, for example. Okay, berapa tingginya seorang anak. So in that case, we are using centimeter rule, okay, or meter rule in order to know exactly the age of the person. But in this case, we are measuring something hidden. We are measuring something unobservable, right? So this is another example. We are talking about testing the instrument. In that case, we ask the expert to give a judgment to the item quality, right? So this is, for example, testing the instrument regarding COVID-19, okay? And then the item itself judged by the 4th criteria. It is about the plausibility, okay? It is relevancy, it is about clarity, and it is about the simplicity of the statement. So the expert need to look to the statement and give judgment to that statement. Okay, of course, in this case, it is not only one person give judgment. Usually we ask more than one expert. For example, we ask 5 experts in public health. Okay, in terms of knowing the quality of the item. So it is also talking about non-physical measurement. Okay, the quality of item, it is something that measure, okay, based on the expert judgment, expert opinion, or expert perception, right? So we are talking about something hidden. Right. So this led us that what actually we are measuring from human. Okay. So of course, human is complex. We cannot measure the whole thing in a specific human being. Okay. So as a researcher, we only pick one certain variable, okay, to make sure that we can decide about the quality of that variable, okay, which is inherent in human. Okay. So in the context of quantitative, what really happened is we pick one variable. In many cases, usually we only not pick one, we usually more than one, because it's too simple if we are measuring something only from one variable usually, okay? So we need to conceptualize in terms of what we call the definition of that variable. So this is a level of qualitative part, okay? So we need to conceptualize, we need to define the variable to lead to the agreement, to lead to the identification of construct, right? The second part is we need to measure that variable. Okay, so when we are talking about, for example, following SOP or not, mengikuti prokes atau tidak. So in terms of following SOP, so we can have a range of variable that people are following strictly to the SOP, wearing mask, keep distance, okay, always wash hand, something like that. And people who are rejecting to follow the SOP, tidak mengikuti prokes. Okay, so that's the thing what we call the variable. Okay, in order to decide where is the place, where is the location people in that variable, so we need to measure, right? We need to measure, and for that measure, we need the instrument. Okay, so the second one is about measuring the variable, so we need the instrument. Okay, but of course, talking about instrument, we have to make sure that the instrument has a good quality to measure. Okay, something that we can rely on. Okay, something that the result with telling us about the important information, right? So RAS actually following the second part. It is about measurement, it is about variable, it is about testing the instrument, and reporting about the quality of instrument, and transforming the data. Okay, RAS only play in the quantitative research at the second part of this. Okay, when we have the numbers, we got the data, so we move to the third part. So for the third part, we use what we call as the inferential statistical tool. Okay, so we are testing relationship, association, differences, so many things. And then, so of course, all of you know that inferential statistic test is so many. Okay, so yeah, so many, then so many choices that you can use. Right. So when we are talking about physical measurement, most likely we have to deal with the instrument. All right. So when we have to deal with the instrument, as we can see here, there are 4 instruments that usually we use in physics. Okay. On the left-hand side is measuring length. Next one is measuring time. The next one is measuring temperature and measuring weight scale. Okay, so we know this is the standard of instrument in physics that we use day to day, right? So I have a question for you. For those of you who don't know yet, okay, some of you already know. So if you already know, no need to answer, right? I just want to make sure that you follow what we call the understanding about this. Okay, if you look at these four instruments in physics, okay, what is the similarity that you see available in these four instruments? Anybody can answer, or maybe you can type in chat. What is the similarity that you can see in these four physics instruments? Apa kesamaan dari keempat jenis instrumen pada fisika ini? Okay, you can type your answer or you can speak directly. Okay, I give you 1 minute to think. Okay. Any answer, please? All right, so we have some answer in chat. Okay, numbers, scale, interval, numbers. Right, so measurement with using numbers. Right, so numbers is the result of measurement. Okay, it is not the what we call the quality of that instrument. Okay, numbers is the result of the measurement, right? They use scale, interval, excellent. That is the main difference when we talk about what we call physical measurement. Every physical measurement, they have scale. Okay, let me go back to the PowerPoint. Oh, Bu Pipit already here. Oh, okay. So I think 3 years ago, Bu Pipit introduced me to Fakultas Kesehatan Masyarakat UNAIR. Makasih Bu. So this is the continuing part that Bu Pipit started. Okay.
Bu Pipit nickname.
Oh.
Full name Retno Adriani.
Oh, I see. All right. Okay. Okay. I only know her from her nickname. Okay, let me continue, right? So, scale, meaning that we have equal interval, equal distance situation, right? So let me show you on the left-hand side of the measurement, which is the centimeter rule, for example, right? The distance between 0 to 1 is similar like the distance between 1 centimeter to 2 centimeter. That we call it as scale. Okay, the scale is simple, equal distance, equal interval. Okay, the distance between 0 to 2 centimeter, similar like 4 to 6 centimeter. It is the principle of equal distance and equal interval. Okay, scale is always important. It is the essential part of measurement. Okay, so let us look to the previous slide. Like here, we have 5 choices: worst, bad, average, good, best. So we have 5 choices, but each choices actually not provide us with the equal interval scale, because the way we rate it is based on our own perception, our own opinion. That is the difference between physical measurement and non-physical measurement, right? So there's the thing that we have to understand. physical measurement provide us with the better quality result of measurement. Okay, I'm talking about 5 centimeter in Kuala Lumpur, the same 5 centimeter you can have in Surabaya. The same 5 centimeter you can have in Bandung or in Gorontalo or in Jakarta. No problem with that. Okay. But in terms of non-physical measurement, we don't have similar understanding. Okay, similar criteria. Okay, so the first principle of physical measurement, if we can see, it has to be have scale, equal distance, equal interval. Okay, so another principle is if you look at these 4 instruments, all of them start from 0 centimeter, 0 second, or 0 minute, 0 degree of Celsius, 0 kilogram. So this is what we call the starting point. Okay, if we look back to the non-physical measurement, we have a problem to refer about 0 of measurement. Which one is the 0? Is it the worst or is it best? Or is it average? Not clear. We are talking about non-physical measurement. There is no clear indication about starting point of measurement. All right. If we ask the expert to evaluate the item, there is no such thing as 0. Okay, so this is showing to us that physical measurement have better quality, more advantage compared to the non-physical measurement, like we are measuring people intelligence, people opinions, attitude, or perception. All right, so that's the second one. The third one is every physical measurement, they have their own unit. Mereka mempunyai satuan. If we measure length, kalau kita mengukur panjang, kita boleh menggunakan satuan sentimeter atau inci. We can use centimeter or inci to describe about the quality of the length, untuk menunjukkan berapa panjangnya. Okay, we can use second, we can use minute, we can use hours. Okay, to describe about the how long in terms of time. Okay, look at the previous slide here. So if we measure customer satisfaction, no information regarding unit. Apa satuan kepuasan konsumen? So, if no unit, how can you compare? If no unit, how can you really understand the difference in terms of quality? Right? So, this is telling to us that measuring something hidden in human is not easy. We cannot rely on what we call raw data, because raw data is different from measurement data. Okay, measurement data usually they follow the rules from physics, where the instrument should have scale, it has starting point, it has a unit, and the third one, the instrument usually follow the linear scale, the linear function. Right, so that's the 4 things that the characteristic of physical measurement. So the result of that measurement, it is numbers, okay? But numbers itself, we have to be critical. Not all numbers have the same quality, okay? So for example, I have my handphone numbers, but my handphone numbers not telling anything regarding about the quality. It is just only the identity of my handphone numbers, right? So I live in Jalan Kartini number 10, okay? So number 10 doesn't mean anything, only just the address of my home, for example, right? So in terms of understanding measurement, so we usually divided the type of data, the type of number that we collect into the four groups, okay? The first one we usually called as nominal data. So nominal data is just only to differentiate, okay? So for example, male, I code to number 1, female, I code to number 2. Doesn't meaning that female condition is better than male, because female got number 2, male got number 1, doesn't meaning female is a better situation, right? And the next one is ordinal type data. This is the usual type of data that we collect from respondent. Okay, so when we ask opinion, perception, attitude, the data itself is ordinal type, right? When we test intelligence to student, we give them mathematical test or English test, the result of that numbers is ordinal type, okay? The next part is, we call it as measurement data. Can be interval or ratio, okay? Interval and ratio, they have the quality of physical measurement result. But when we deal with non-physical, it is ordinal, and then the function is defining what to count. Ordinal data adalah fungsinya untuk menghitung banyaknya, mencacah frekuensi, bukan mengukur. It is just only to count frequency, not to measure. All right, okay. So this is usually the critique that I use in terms of to make the student understand that we have to understand the natures of data. Because we know the quality of data doesn't mean we can do anything we like. Okay, so you have to look and to be honest to yourself, what kind of data that we deal with, right? So this is an example of the article in health sciences. Okay, this is all the example written by the doctors, okay, who are, most of them are social medicine doctors, okay, doctors who also have a clinical expertise, but doing research in social medicine. So as you can see here, okay, so they write something very brutal, very honest, very critical. They said Likert scale, how to abuse them. So it's meaning that abuse is everywhere, okay. They call it abuse. Finding mean and standard deviation, as you can see down here, is inappropriate for ordinal data. It is not good. It is wrong. Okay. Look at the second article. It is also come from Health Sciences Journal. They also criticize very hard ordinal scale and foundation of misinference. In health sciences, the error can lead to the deadly patient the error can lead to the catastrophic situation. I think you know that most of you are come from what we call health sciences, and then right now we are in the pandemic situation. Okay, wrong decision because of the wrong how we treat data can lead to disaster, right? So this is telling us that so many people are doing it, okay, without understanding the dangers of the data analysis, right? So this is another example, and this is a bit a joke, okay? So they call it as 7 deadly sins of statistical analysis. In Indonesian term, 7 dosa besar analisis statistik. So what the meaning is that later in afterlife, nanti di akhirat ada jenis neraka baru, yaitu neraka statistik. Okay, so don't put yourself in that statistical hell, right? One of the criteria that you can go to the statistical hell, you can see the cartoon on the right hand side, when you are using parametric analysis with ordinal data. It is a big no-no. Why? Because it is not provide accurate and precise measurement, right? So this is give you some idea that the wrong practice is everywhere, and some experts already tell them that the way they analyze is not quite right. Okay, so when we have the data, of course, we try to understand. We try to make what we call the data useful. So one of the measurement model that we can use, usually we call that as classical test theory, which is initiated by Charles Perman. Okay, and then the ideas are developed later by Cronbach. They call it SG theory, generalizability theory. And of course, the most famous one is factor analysis, come from Thurston. So all of these three is considered as the theories for classical test theory, okay, in human measurement in the aspect of non-physical measurement. The thing that similar between three of them, they usually emphasize on what we call group-centered statistics, right? I'll tell you more about that one. Another approach that started from 1960 is introduced by George Rice. If classical test theory look the data as score, Rice offer different approach. Rice offer the same data look as probability, right? So that's the key. The same data in classical test, we look as the score. In RAS, they look at probability. Okay, I will tell you more. So this is a good example. Okay, so this is a cognitive test. We have 10 items, and then we have 4 students, A, B, C, D. Each student have different correct answer. Number of correct answer. A got 9 correct, B 7, C 5, and D 3. Okay, so all of them, if we use classical test theory approach, so we only reporting A got 90% correct, B 70% correct. That's all. Finish. Okay. When we are using RAS model approach, we try to look what is the hidden information from this data. If we have 10 items and A got 9 items correct, meaning that A got 1 item incorrect. Right? Kalau A mempunyai 9 jawaban benar, maknanya A mempunyai 1 jawaban salah. Right? So it's very simple idea. So what RAS offer is use probability to that data. you are comparing between correct answer with incorrect answer. So probability of success of A, it is 9 divided by 1. Okay. Tingkat kesuksesan siswa A itu adalah perbandingan antara jawaban benar dibagi dengan jawaban salah. Okay, that's the simple answer. Okay, how about B? So B meaning that 7 out of 3, because 7 correct answer and 3 incorrect answer, and got that one. Right, so the next challenge is score not provide you with the equal interval scale. How about probability? Is it probability give you an equal interval scale? So we create what we call lines of probability. Kita buat garis bilangan. So garis bilangan probabilitas ini menjelaskan on the left hand side we are talking about less probability of success. Okay, correct 1 answer and then incorrect 9 answer. On the right hand side is correct 9 answer, incorrect 1 answer, which is student A. Okay, so maybe you ask, why not include 0 correct answer or 10 correct answer? So if you put 0 correct answer, 0 divided by 10, so it's become 0, so it is not a probability. Okay, how about 10? 10 divided by 0, so indefinite, itu menjadi bilangan tak terdefinisi, right? So every number divided by 0 is not a probability, right? So what we can see here is a line of probability, and the distance between correct answer from 1 to 2 or correct answer from 2 to 3 is not similar. Okay, so if you can see, if the student got 1 correct answer, 1 bagi 9, 2 correct answer, 2 bagi 8. So the distance between 1 and 2 correct answer is different from 2 to 3 correct answer. So Ras tell us you cannot rely on probability to get interval scale. Right? So from here, he suggests use logarithm function. Gunakan fungsi logaritma untuk menyetarakan bilangan. Okay. So for those of you who don't understand logaritma, so I think maybe you can recall what your mathematics teachers long time ago when you are at year 9, pada saat SMP kelas 3, your mathematics teachers will be teach you about logaritma. So this is the best time for you to recall that understanding, right? So please thank to your mathematics teachers because logaritma has a function in your life now. Okay, right? So if we apply logaritma function, then we have what we call equal interval scale. Okay, the distance between 0, which is correct 5 answer, to 1 correct answer, similar like 5 correct answer to 9 correct answer. That's meaning applying equal interval scale. If you look at this one, you have 0 here, meaning that starting point. And you can see this is linear. And at the same time, because this is a transformation using logaritma function, they call it as unit, as a logit, logaritma odd unit. Okay. So from here, we know that if we use raw score and transform with ROS approach, the quality of non-physical measurement from human is similar like what we have from physical measurement. The similar like physics instrument, right? So the key is data transformation using probability and logarithm. Okay, so this is the what we call the best tool in terms of RAS model. We call it as what we call right map from the person Benjamin Wright, which is the proteus of George Rush. So right map explaining about the people what we call ability, and we put their location based on the way they respond to the instrument. Okay, and then on the right hand side is what we call difficulty items. The location of the item, it always depends on how many correct answer given by the respondent. So it is always independent each other, not doing something like correlation, right? So when we use RAS model, then there's so many probabilities in terms of using it in research. Okay, if we are using what we call classical test theory, many theses in our faculties, for example, in Indonesia, right? So in many faculties in Indonesia, when they are trying to tell about reliability index, they only rely on alpha Cronbach. Alpha Cronbach not telling the quality of item or person. Alpha Cronbach is only telling the whole thing, meaning that hidden information not revealed if you are only using Alpha Cronbach. Okay. The truth about reliability is about statistic. Reliability is about variation. Reliability is about number of data, meaning you can easily manipulate the index. Okay, so don't be impressed if the reliability index is so good. That's the first one. The second one, which is I always have a very heavy opposition. I always tell that validity is not about number. Validity is about argument. So you have to state it very clearly. What do you mean about the good thing about your instrument? Then you find the good index to explain about that validity. Okay, in RAS, you can report validity at the instrument level, like fit to the model, unidimensionality, and rating scale. You also can report about what we call, the simple word is about how much. Level, how precise, which is about content validity, and of course we are talking about different types of response. So we usually call, if you see this menu of instrument testing, it covers better compared to classical tests can offer. Okay, so at the same time, you have what we call precise and accurate measurement, and you can report so many things that involve about the data quality, the instrument quality, and then the respondent quality. Okay, so this is a simple demo that I use with one student from Fakultas Kesehatan Masyarakat UNAIR. Okay, so the name of student is Ramida Dwi Jayanti. So Mida is doing research in terms of personal hygiene in terms of COVID-19, right? So I already shared this with Dr. Ajija in terms of the data set, the notepad, and also the script. Okay, the prepare is a dummy data, not the real data, contain 20 items and fill in by the way that Mida analyze is guided by the book that I wrote with Pak Wahyu. If you are
Jaringannya mungkin agak
interested to learn more about
Suaranya hilang, Pak Bambang.
Dokter
sekarang
Bahasa,
oke.
sinyalnya sepertinya trouble.
Oke, bentar. Sekarang masih, Bu? Suaranya kurang jelas.
Sudah bagus, jelas. Bagus, Dokter Bambang.
Mungkin di sini koneksinya kurang bagus. Oke, saya lanjutkan ya. Oke, so I'll continue with this one. Okay, right. So we now to share to you about the demo of the analysis. Okay, the demo itself part of the Ramida Dwi Jayanti research from Magister Kesehatan Lingkungan FKM UNAIR. Okay. So Mida research in this case prepare the dummy data, not the real data. Only contain 20 items. The code for the items P1 to P20 with 75 respondents. Right. So the detail how to prepare the data and then to use the software to analysis. Explained in the book that I wrote with Pak Wahyu. You can see on the right hand side. So I got 2 books written in Bahasa Indonesia about trust model. If you want to have that book, please call Pak Dadan at that WhatsApp number, right? So please buy from Pak Dadan. Otherwise, if you buy the pirated one, I don't got the royalty, right? So I got 10% from the book. Okay, so it's good for me to buy rujak. Anyway, okay. Okay, this is an example of Mida instrument. Okay, so Mida instrument is asking about perception, opinion, and attitude regard to the COVID-19. Okay. And then each item have 4 choices, okay, rating in terms of frequency. Okay, jenis instrumen yang digunakan oleh Mida adalah pertanyaan yang berhubungan dengan item-item dalam konteks personal hygiene dan COVID-19. Itemnya menggunakan jawaban fixed respon dengan 4 pilihan, jenisnya adalah frekuensi, yaitu selalu, sering, kadang-kadang, jarang. Okay, so this is the way how we measure the response. Kalau jarang, memang dia tidak patuh terhadap prokes. So ini adalah bercerita tentang kepatuhan terhadap prokes. Right? So this is one result that we can show to you is about the right math of dummy data. As you can see, more and more people on the left-hand side is at the top position, top location. Apa maknanya banyak orang di sini? Artinya orang-orang ini taat pada prokes. Okay. And then if you see at the left-hand side, all items are below here. So we can sense that the item is too easy to do or too easy to agree. Nah, ini bermakna bahwa instrumen ini mungkin terlalu mudah untuk dijawab. Okay, so we can sense that RAS model can detect what really happened to the instrument. Okay, this is right math. Right, so this is detail about what we call as reliability information. If we use about classical test, we only can report alpha Cronbach, which is at this stage at the yellow highlight in the middle, 0.68, right? But we also can get information regarding person reliability, 0.57. Okay, if you see the number of this index lower than 0.67, meaning that the reliability of the person is not good. The people are not reliable. But if we look to the item reliability is 0.75, meaning that the item itself is good, but the person is not really good. So how to solve this problem? This is about reliability, and reliability is about number. So you have to add more person because 75 is not so many. All right, another information is the green highlight. So this is about separation. Separation informing about how many group in the respondent, right? So the bigger the group, the better quality of the data. So we are also talking about unidimensionality, right? So usually unidimensionality is talking about how good is the structures of the item in the instrument. So the yellow part, usually minimum is 20%, but it is better if more than 40%, right? The green part is talking about how much noise of measurement happening. So if the number less than 15%, so not so much noise happening in the measurement, right? The blue one, this is talking about, is there any item that come from the other dimension? So usually the 20 is the total number of the item. And then the unexplained variant in the first contrast should be less than 3. Because RAS only allow less than 3 item is okay for measurement. So this is unidimensionality. This is validity at the item level. Okay, the red one talking about the how much, okay, difficulty index. The green one is about precision, how precise is the item, and the blue one, the dot one, is talking about the quality of the item. Usually we call it as content validity. Right? So another important information that I can show, for example, this is a different response based on DIPP, okay, to gender. Ini menjelaskan perbedaan pola respon berdasarkan jenis kelamin. Okay, so look at the top one is P1 meaning item number 1, P2 item number 2 until P20. Okay, so each of this curve talking about the type of the response. Okay, so yang kurva warna hitam menjelaskan respon yang diberikan lelaki. The black curve itu talking about respond by male respondent. The red one is talking about response from female respondent, right? And then the green one is mean between male and female, right? So what we can inform about this is look at the location of the curve for P1. P1 at female is at the top compared to male. So this is meaning that for item P1, it is easier to do by male compared to female. Ini bermakna kalau kurvanya mendekati ke atas, artinya itu jarang dilakukan. Kalau mendekati ke bawah, artinya itu lebih sering dilakukan. Nah, kalau lihat P1, maka yang P1 itu lebih mudah dilakukan oleh lelaki dibandingkan oleh perempuan. Oke, demikian juga untuk item P20. Ini lebih mudah dilakukan oleh lelaki dibandingkan oleh perempuan. Bandingkan untuk P19, ini lebih mudah bagi perempuan dibandingkan bagi lelaki. So this is telling us a very good information regarding about how groups respond to the same item. So it's always very informative to share, right? So I think that's all for me.